Welcome to the assignments and solutions to the assignments of the first module called Introduction. So as you can see in here, we have a couple of these pages. 6 of them are connected to our first module. 5 of them have really short assignments connected to the things that I've explained in the lessons in here, and just some like tips on what to do and how to better prepare for the course. And there's also one additional lesson, the 6th one, that's called Test Your Knowledge, that is kind of testing your knowledge of the different Figma features that are not going to be covered with this course. If you're unable to finish the assignments there, I do highly recommend our beginner Figma course because it's going to help you learn and understand all of those things. If by just completing those assignments or by after watching the solutions to the assignments you feel confident that you know enough about Figma to move on, then I don't suggest getting the beginner Figma course, because it's basically covering the things that you're forced to solve in that 6th lesson. So in here, the same structure appears on all of our modules. So when we move on to the advanced layers and shapes, there's going to be one video that's going to go over the assignments in that module, and then the final module assignments is always going to be its separate video, because that one is a little bit of a harder task that requires a lot more time. So it's not just teaching you one thing, it's actually forcing you to try to think of a way to use all of the things that you learned and create something from those things. So I hope my explanation of this makes sense. I'll now move on to the actual first assignment. It's just about creating a Figma account. So basically, if you don't know how, there's a helpful link. You can just click on it and it's going to take you to the page that explains step by step how to create a Figma account. But I'm hoping, since you're in the advanced Figma video course, that you already have an account ready. This is just like for one-off case, if you don't have it ready, to have a reminder that that's going to be really the most important thing for you to follow along this course. Next thing is setting the nudge amount to 8. Why? Well, if you're working with Figma, you're most likely a UX UI designer. UX UI designers often tend to use increments of 8 for spacings and sizes of elements to keep things unified and kind of to remove unnecessary thinking about how big something should be. So like, is it 38 or 40? Like, we would always just say 40 because that's divisible by 8, so you can kind of easily have that kind of invisible sense of rules in the way that you design. For mobile apps and smaller projects, even sometimes for web dashboards and web applications, sometimes you're going to use a 4-point grid, but most of the time it's going to be 8-point grid for websites and web applications. So both of those I've linked a helpful article to, and you can read through it if you're first time hearing about something like a 4-point grid or 8-point grid. It's not something that you necessarily have to do. Maybe you're using 12 as your base number that everything's divisible by, and that's completely fine if it works for you. It's just like a way for us to be more efficient as designers. And if you do so, you can still set the nudge amount to that, because instead of shifting things by 10 and then kind of having to use arrows or like manually shifting things for a pixel or two to get it to that base number that you're working with, it's best to have the big nudge amount sent to your actual base number, because then if you're holding shift and moving items around, they're gonna move by those increments. So for me, it would be like 8 and then 16 and then 24. So basically I can, with 3 taps or like clicks on my keyboard, I can get to a really big number like 24. So yeah, basically to do that, you would just have to go in here and let me see. Preferences, sorry about this, nudge amount, and you can set it to something. You can already see that mine is set to 8. Okay, so the third assignment would be to actually go through our Figma Shortcuts ebook that you got access to with this course. It and it's basically like a library of all of the helpful shortcuts. And you're gonna see me use a lot of shortcuts throughout these lessons because that's what makes you an efficient Figma designer. You're actually working quicker with shortcuts. So with time, try to learn some of them. In most of these assignments, I'm actually gonna force you to use them at least once to kind of get a hang of it. So highly recommend that you start implementing that into your workflow because it's just going to make you faster and more efficient. Same thing with plugins. There's a lot of things that you can do in Figma manually, but there's also a lot of things that can be automated with plugins. So there's really not a good reason not to use something that's gonna speed up your work so much. So here are like 100+ recommendations from us that you can use and again, become more efficient as you're doing that. Some of them are actually going to be used in assignments as well. So one more thing to keep in mind. And finally, the last small assignment from this module is to actually think about your learning. So what do you want to achieve? How fast do you want to achieve that? Really dedicate time to watching the lessons, following along and solving these assignments, because that practical part of trying to use the tool and trying to learn all of the features and how they're used and why is going to make you a better UX UI designer, and it's going to make you a better Figma user. So don't just expect to watch video lessons of this course and magically become better. That's not how it works. This entire course is kind of created around the fact that you're going to have to practically learn everything and kind of learn how to use the features and how to use them to your advantage. So really set aside the time in each week, at least like an hour or two. If you want to do things faster, like go as fast as your schedule and all of your other responsibilities allow you to do, and kind of think about what you want to achieve. The idea behind this goal is take you from an average Figma user, or maybe even like an intermediate beginner level, to really pro levels, and to understand how to not just use Figma well, but also how to become more efficient and how to become a better designer, because I'm also going to be sharing some tips and tricks from the industry and how I use them for design, and how to become a better designer. So like, take all of that and try to plan around your schedule where you can actually learn and watch videos and solve assignments and so on. So dedicate some time each week to do that, and you're gonna become a better designer. In here, you have the ability to add your learning goals. I don't know, by default, I added like watch at least 3 lessons per week and actively follow along. But you can write in whatever you want to. It's all created with auto layout, so you can basically add more of these goals, remove some of goals if you don't need as many, and kind of set yourself up for success. Trust me, this step might seem like a little bit off when compared to all of our other assignments, but it's really crucial for you to actually decide that you want to learn and that you want to take this course and become the better version of you and a better designer. And to do that, you actually need to kind of have time for it, and you also have to have some goals that you want to achieve as you're going through this video course. So that's it for this kind of overview, and it's not truly a solution to these assignments because in the introduction module, there's not really a lot of things that I needed to demo, but you're going to see in all of the other solution videos to assignments, I'm actually going to show you step by step how I did some things to solve them. So if you ever get stuck, watch the videos in here, and then try to replicate that to actually learn how to do it. So yeah, thank you for following along so far, and see you in the next video.